In the opening scene, we get to know that Raquel Mendoza and Aries Hidalgo are lovers and both college students, studying in different countries. Aries is a medical student, which gives both of them little or no time to be together physically, but despite that, they are both head over heels in love with each other. Though separated by the distance, the lovebirds are actively involved in their relationship. They fill up the gap created by distance with calls and texts all day long. During one of Raquel's classes, the lovebirds continue conversing over the phone. Raquel plugs her earphones into her ears and Aries takes away all her attention from the class to himself. In no time, they are both lost in their world's imaginations while doing things to each other. They explore their imaginary world as they make out right there in Raquel's class, with no one seeing what's going on until the call gets disrupted, and they are back to their reality. The lovebirds separated by distance continue in that habit for several days. On several occasions, Aries feels burdened by the distance and wants to just be with her physically, but then, the distance between him and Barcelona, where Raquel is about 1,000 miles away from Stockholm. Many times, he makes voice records explaining how sad he is about the distance between them, while also ranting about his struggles with med school. He intends to send it to Raquel, but his courage keeps failing him, so he ends up deleting them. On the last day of lectures before the summer break, Raquel's literature tutor asks to see her. She complains about Raquel spending the whole year on her cell phone rather than concentrating on the lectures, but then, she reveals how impressed she is by her manuscript through the window. She hands Raquel a paper containing a publisher friend's email so she can email her manuscript to the publisher when she gets home. Later on, Raquel is about to share the good news with her friend Daniela when one of her classmates interrupts their discussion. He invites Raquel to a party, but she politely rejects the invitation with the excuse that she promised to spend the holiday with her mother. Daniela makes a mockery of her, turning down a simple invitation just because she's in love with her snobbish neighbor Aries. Daniela successfully convinces her that it'll not hurt to attend a party with the guy. Besides, one can never tell what Aries is up to wherever he is. Raquel considers her friend's suggestion for some seconds before picking up her bag to catch up with her classmate. She finally gets to where he is, exchanging greetings with some other students, but she hesitates to call his attention. Meanwhile, Aries, who decides to give her a surprise visit, walks silently behind her. He tickles her, causing Raquel to turn in shock. Upon seeing him, mixed feelings of joy and surprise race through her veins as she holds him tight while they engage in a bout of kisses. Danny runs to the rink and calls out to Yoshi, their friend who calls himself the third wheel of the group. She is almost running out of breath because she has been searching for him for almost an hour. She reveals that Aries is around and he has Raquel with him. Yoshi didn't see that coming. However, they've got to be wherever Raquel is as they are friends. Daniela further divulges that she has insider info on where they might be. They drive there. But one fact that can't be is that Yoshi's heart belongs to Raquel, even though she considers him simply as a friend. Aries takes Raquel on a trip for the weekend, but she worries why he would suddenly take her on a road trip when she will be starting work on Monday. He reminds her that he will also be starting summer intensive in Stockholm on Monday, but he needs to see her, and that's why he's in Barcelona. Besides, he has already gotten her clothes from her house before coming to pick her up. She smiles and wonders if he saw her mom, but to her surprise, her boyfriend snuck through her room window to get her things. She places her legs on the dashboard, smiling like an excited bride all through the ride. They arrive at Aries' parents' house, which seems to have been left uninhabited for some time. Raquel walks around, checking out the photographs arranged on the shelf. She explores other parts of the house. Aries' brothers, Apollo and Artemis, enter the building alongside Daniela and Yoshi. Aries is surprised to see his brothers arrive to join in the weekend getaway at the mansion. After the outdoor activities, everyone gets back to their room to spend some romantic time with their partners. Artemis and his girlfriend, Claudia, engage in a heated argument after engaging in some sexual activities. Claudia can't make sense of the fact that he is hiding her from his family and he barely has time for her. She feels like she has more reason not to have time for their relationship because she is a house staff for his wealthy family and still goes to school. Also, she is still saddled with the responsibility of helping her mother. Artemis runs after her in an attempt to stop her from leaving. He assures her that he is willing to stop acting foolish and be her boyfriend because he loves her and he thinks what they share is real. She pulls him close and kisses his lips, proving to her that she's more than a help to him. Later, in the sitting room, Aries and Yoshi are having a conversation when Claudia interrupts everyone. She announces that Artemis has something to tell all of them. She waits for him to make the announcement. Just when Artemis is about to speak up, his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Hidalgo, disrupt the atmosphere, jokingly threatening to call the police. They decided to come back home after they were informed that the Greek airport was filled up. Mr. Hidalgo compliments Artemis for bringing the help along with him, so he requests Claudia to get everyone a glass and some drinks. She stares at Artemis in anger because he is supposed to say something about their relationship and not just stand there looking like some zombie. In the evening, Raquel carries her laptop with her and sits by the seaside. She is about to send the mail to her tutor's publisher friend, but she hesitates. She turns off the computer and decides to concentrate on her phone. Yoshi, who has been watching her from the cliff beneath, sends her a text. He encourages her to send it because it's an amazing piece, and he promises to be on the front row for her book presentation. She is surprised to realize that he has read her manuscript when even Aries hasn't read it. He comes down to join her by the waterside, telling her that boyfriends are only temporary while friends are forever. Meanwhile, back at the house, Artemis and Aries are having a conversation. Aries doesn't even know how his studies are faring in Stockholm. Artemis senses the tension and unhappiness in his brother's voice and tries to comfort him by assuring him that he's always welcome at their father's company Alpha 3 whenever he wants to come back. The following morning, Aries and Rockel take his bike on a ride to town. They stop at Rockel's classmate's store briefly. When she goes in to purchase water, Gregory asks why she's not at her mother's for the summer. After all, that was her excuse a few days back. Aries joins them and Gregory, who is unaware of their relationship, introduces Rockel to him as the best student in his class. He's been trying to up his game academically, just to impress her for over a year, but her mother keeps getting in his way. Aries smiles and introduces himself to Rockel like they are just meeting. The lovebirds chuckle lightly as they step out of the store and continue on their way to join the rest of the family on the yacht. In the course of the cruise, Aries and Rockel swim down to some rocky parts of the ocean, away from the eyes of the others. Rockel suggests they search for each other now and reignite the times they've drifted apart. Right away, she takes off her bikini top and lays bare on the rock. He agrees with her and they soon begin foreplay, exploring their bodies out in the open sea. After their escapade, they swim back to the yacht and Aries gets a surprise visit from Vera, one of his classmates back in Stockholm. She introduces him to her mother Camilla, who thinks he and Vera have some similarities and they will make a good pair. However, Aries pulls Rockel close to himself to make an impression. When Camilla excuses herself to go answer her phone call, Vera reveals that her mom usually takes their family yacht for a cruise on the Mediterranean yearly. But since he once mentioned his family would be cruising, she decides to pop in. Later in the evening, Vera, Daniela, Yoshi, and the Hidalgo boys sit over dinner on the yacht, chatting and recounting moments from school. Vera takes over the whole conversation, talking about parties she and Aries went to in school. Shockingly, Yoshi reveals too much about Rockel's book, which surprises Aries, who has yet to read it. Rockel tries to hush him and she eventually takes a break from the table. Aries tries going after her, but Vera prevents him from going to join her, suggesting she go instead. When Vera joins Rockel, she apologizes for taking over the conversation. The ladies talk about themselves and Rockel reveals she's inspired to write because of her father, who was a writer. Though he died when she was young, he still inspires her. Meanwhile, Vera shares how her dad left her and her mother. It was just the both of them until her mother met Carlos. She encourages Rockel to pursue what she loves to do, because she's studying medicine and she has no idea what she's doing. She's actually doing it just for the sake of her father, who would have wanted her to study medicine. They eventually arrive at a party somewhere in town late in the night. A few minutes later, Yoshi enters the restroom to pee and some hoodlums follow behind him. They chase everyone out except Yoshi, who looks scared. Fortunately for him, a girl, called Anna, comes to the rescue. She grabs one of the boys and threatens all of them to leave. As the party continues, Daniela tries to stir up some doubt in Rockel's mind concerning Vera and Aries, but she warns her to stop trying to make something out of nothing. After the party, they all return to their various cabins on the yacht. While washing their mouths before heading to bed, Aries asks Rockel what Vera told her when they were alone. Since she has nothing to reveal, she picks up her phone and a message from Daniela pops up. She opens the message to see a picture of Vera wearing Aries' shirt. This takes her by surprise, but she tries hard to convince herself and hold on to the belief that they are just friends and nothing more. She takes several looks at Aries, who is now on the bed, and then puts the whole thing off as she joins him on the bed. The following morning, Aries and Vera, Daniela and Apollo, Rockel, and Yoshi pair themselves on the water scooter, all set to head out for the Hidalgo secret beach. Rockel notices Aries wearing the exact shirt he wore in the photograph, but she chooses to say nothing about it. On arriving at their destination, Rockel and Yoshi meet with Gregory, who introduces his sister, Anna, to them. The others lay their beach bed down while some play in the water. Rockel makes flirty gestures on Aries' body and requests they go for a swim, but he tells her to go alone because he is about to get some sleep. Daniela observes the tension between the couple, but she maintains her distance as she watches her friend storm off into the water. Rockel dives off into a distance and watches Aries from afar when Gregory interrupts her. He thinks that they could be friends but admits he doesn't really know her. He reveals he was into a girl some years back and Aries suddenly takes interest in that same girl. They went out for 2 weeks, after which Aries started liking someone else. Rockel apologizes for the incident at the restaurant and urges him to let go of the history, and she requests that they remain friends. Yoshi, who has been staring into the water, lost in thoughts, gets interrupted by Anna. She confesses she has been stalking him online, but she couldn't find anything tangible. She suddenly requests that he hook up with her and he bluntly refuses, because he doesn't know her. He jumps off the cliff into the water, leaving her all to herself. Claudia sits at the rooftop of her house washing her hair while listening to the many voice messages from Mrs. Hidalgo. She turns off her phone as the messages keep coming nonstop and then prepares to go out. Meanwhile, Artemis drives to her neighborhood in search of her. He picks up his phone to call and find out her exact location, seeing that his search is fruitless. Finally, he sees her in a bar singing, so he quiets down and watches. At the end of her rendition, he observes as the people applaud her and a man comes to hug her. She refuses to make any effort to get away from him. He angrily turns around and drives off at high speed. Back at the beach, Rockle quietly observes the closeness between Aries and Vera. She watches her give him a drink. Her friends, Yoshi and Daniela, know something is up with her. Rockle suddenly gets up and calls everyone to come play a truth or kiss game where they take turns to spin the bottle and answer questions. In the course of the game, the bottle faces Yoshi and Anna refuses to let go of the opportunity, as she sexily climbs over the table and lands him a hot kiss, to the amazement of everyone. Immediately after she lets go, Yoshi runs straight to the washroom in an attempt to hide his erection. Anna joins him and she takes it to another level as they make out right there. Shockingly, Yoshi screams Rockle's name as he comes, but Anna probably didn't even notice, as she is overwhelmed with ecstasy. At the Hidalgo mansion, Claudia comes to do her job as is expected of her. She sees Artemis and ignores his inquiry about her new friend. In a bid to get back at her, he requests she give him whiskey, which she did obediently. He intentionally pours the drink on the staircase and Claudia gets a towel to clean up the mess. When Mrs. Hidalgo comes, she queries Claudia for leaving her hair in its natural color. She is worried other people might mistake Claudia to be a member of their family because they are both redheads. Claudia suggests she dye her hair black if it will be a problem, and Artemis shouts back at her. He fires her instantly out of anger. Claudia packs up her things and leaves the house. Outside, she removes the car key from a car parked outside and flings it into a nearby bush. On the yacht, Aries takes his turn to spin the bottle and it faces Daniela. She offers her chance to Rockle, who whispers a question into her ears. Out of the blue, Daniela asks Aries if anyone else has worn the shirt he is wearing. Aries answers in the negative, wondering why such a question was posed. Rockle looks at him with disbelief. Then Vera spins the bottle, stating it's her turn. Coincidentally, it falls on Rockle. Immediately, Vera chooses truth. Rockle blurts out the question, asking if she has gotten intimate with Aries. She further explains the picture she saw of Vera putting on the same shirt Aries is wearing. Aries and Vera keep mute for lack of words, but the look on their faces gives them away. Rockle storms out of the room packing her bags. Yoshi gives her a comforting hug and Daniela blocks the path of Aries. Later, her friends give the couple some space so Aries can explain himself. However, they eavesdrop on their conversation. Aries confesses to Rockle that indeed there was a night he got drunk, and the next morning, he found himself in bed with Rockle wearing his shirt. He genuinely couldn't recall what happened overnight because he was blank. He tries to keep score by blaming her for not telling Gregory that she has a boyfriend. Seeing that Rockle is bent on leaving, he further confesses his difficulties with med school and how he became confused, wondering why he's there. Along the line, Vera came and she was indeed a good friend to him because through her he made other friends and they all went out to get drunk. It continued like that even on the day the shirt incident happened. Rockle is angry he kept her in the dark about his difficulties. Instead, he chose someone else. He reveals he was scared of opening up to her because he feared she might be moving on with someone else. She angrily walks away from him. On opening the door, she sees her friends eavesdropping, but she asks that they go attend the party. Artemis sits in his room going through a video of himself and Claudia. He gets up to go see who is ringing the doorbell nonstop, and he sees Anna, who has come in search of Yoshi. In the next scene, Daniela paints Apollo's nails in his room, and she suggests they get laid with different people at the party happening later in the night. He reveals that he has no intention of attending the party so she can go all alone. Later, Yoshi and Anna are on the rooftop of the mansion. She shows him the key to the lighthouse and invites him to join her so they can watch the fireworks, but he declines her invitation because he has already decided to attend the beach party with his friends. Anna thought that he would change and be affectionate towards her after the washroom thing, but to her dismay, he's still not interested in her. She now understands that he is in love with someone else, so she requests to know how many ladies he has turned down just because of Rockle. As she pops that question, Rockle joins them. She excitedly asks how Anna is faring, but she ignores her and instead walks away in annoyance. The party begins with Rockle, Daniela, and Yoshi in attendance as they dance energetically to the Brazilian funk music blasting through the speakers. The Hidalgo boys decide to avoid the party while each of them nurse their pains quietly. Later, Aries sits alone, hesitating to reply to a text on his phone when Vera comes to join him. His brother, Apollo, changes his mind and he walks into the party venue. He gently places his hand over Daniela. She is happy that he finally chooses to attend the party. Artemis remains outside staring at nothing in particular, when a man who seems to know him calls his name. A woman by the name of Maria Kodina joins them and she introduces herself and her husband, Eduard. She reveals she attends the same master's program with Claudia, and they've both heard a lot about him. Artemis stares at them in surprise as he watches them express how happy they are to meet him. At the party, Apollo watches as Daniela moves from one lady to another in an attempt to get the one he would make out with. Right where Ares is sitting by the pool, Vera dives into the water beckoning on him to join her, but he wouldn't budge. She decides to reveal the truth that nothing happened the night they slept together. He gets up and blames her for lying when they were playing the game earlier. She reminds him that she didn't say anything, but his facial expression was what passed the wrong message to Rockall. In the course of the party, the three friends split up and Rockall ends up with Gregory. Yoshi is devastated because he intends to spend time with Rockall and now she wants to jet off with another guy. He keeps his cool and watches as she runs back to give him a peck on his cheek before finally leaving with Gregory. Yoshi takes a look at the lighthouse. He had declined Anna's invitation to watch the fireworks together so he could be with Rockall, but now he is all alone. Feeling stupid and in an emotional outburst, he suddenly gulps some drinks and steals the key to a bike as he hurries off. That same night, Artemis has a change of heart and decides to go in search of Claudia at her place. He confesses that he is willing to stop acting like a hidalgo and be her boyfriend. She allows him to. Immediately he steps in, she throws a cloth to him, then pours some milk on the floor and then waits to see his reaction. On the other side of town where the party is going on, Daniela kisses both Apollo and some random guy in a bid to explore Apollo's sexuality. She brings the two men close and gently removes herself, allowing them to kiss each other. Apollo holds her back just as she is about to leave, and the three of them continue exploring their bodies. Meanwhile, Rockall and Gregory drink while looking at each other lustfully. Back at the pool, Ares demands to know why Vera did it. She reveals that she understands the pressure he's going through with his career and family. Back at Claudia's house, she opens the door for him to take leave after wiping the milk off the floor. She knows that it might be easy for him to stop becoming a hidalgo, but it takes much more to become the boyfriend she deserves because she very well knows that she deserves much more. She refuses to grant him a chance to speak and signals him to leave already, shutting the door after him immediately after he steps out of her house. While Vera claims to understand how Ares feels because they are from the same world, Rockall is out with Gregory, about to make out him as he lays her on a flat surface. She comes to her senses and puts the action on hold. She realizes she doesn't want to make out with another guy, contrary to what she thought she wanted. Suddenly, a car alarm starts blaring, alerting everyone in the venue that something is going on. Yoshi, who stole a bike key from a guy, realizes that his little mistake of accidentally hitting a bike has caused all bikes in the parking spot to fall on each other, and it even affected a car. Now the alarm is blaring and they are going to come for him. He hurriedly drives off on the bike, ignoring the owner who is racing in his direction. He almost gets into an accident as he drives off recklessly. Luckily, he missed the truck in front of him, but it ended up hitting an electric pole. The pole falls to the ground, causing the lights to go off in almost every part of the town. In a few minutes, the owner of the bike is in hot pursuit of Yoshi alongside his friends as they shout at him to pull over. He refuses to listen to them and speeds faster without watching the road properly. Before he can notice the vehicle in front of him, Yoshi already collides with the truck coming from the opposite direction, and he falls down a cliff. The light from the accident scene catches Ares' attention and he quickly gets on a water scooter, leaving Vera behind. Even though it's in the middle of night, Rockall recognizes Ares from afar immediately when she sees him on the water scooter. Her instincts tells her he's heading to the accident scene, so she calls out for Daniela as fear grips her. Ares arrives at the scene and rushes towards Yoshi, dragging him out of the water. He realizes that Yoshi is no longer breathing, so he tries CPR, but it's not working. He tearfully calls out for help. Commotion ensues immediately after Rockall and Daniela arrive. Rockall attempts to jump off the cliff when she sees Ares attempting to revive Yoshi down below. Daniela runs to stop Rockall from jumping off. Anna also arrives at the scene and is shocked to find out what's going on. Rockall bursts into tears immediately when she gets to the scene, as she realizes that Ares tried all he could, but he couldn't revive her friend. The next day, they conduct a burial ceremony for Yoshi with his friends and family in attendance. Yoshi's parents thank Rockall for being by their son's side even though he lived a very short life. Rockall creates a scene immediately after she sees her friend's body. She asks why they have to wear a black suit when he hates it. Ares tries to calm her down to no avail, so he gently takes her out to get some fresh air, but Rockall will not have any it. She blames him for not saving Yoshi and always putting up armor so nothing gets to him emotionally. Ares reminds her that she was the one who left Yoshi to go be with Gregory. She becomes speechless and walks away from him. At the church, Apollo leans forward to comfort Daniela as Rockall tearfully reads out her farewell speech to Yoshi. The congregation sits silently listening as she shares memories and recounts the time she spent with her friend. Artemis seizes the opportunity to make up with Claudia, who is sitting beside him before their story becomes too late. He grabs her hand and whispers into her ears that he will be the boyfriend she deserves. Mr. Hidalgo questioningly stares at the hands of his son locked with the help. Everyone gathers to watch the body being rolled away as they bid their final goodbyes. The next morning, Ares leaves for Stockholm thinking about how wrong things have been, and he has made up his mind not to repeat the same mistakes. He texts Rockall apologizing for everything. She refuses to reply to his text. Instead, she gets off the bed and heads straight for her computer. Upon turning it on, she receives mail from the publisher, while Daniela, who is standing behind her, reads out the mail. The publisher has agreed to publish her manuscript. The ladies get teary on realizing that Yoshi had actually sent the mail to the publisher as her self-proclaimed agent, and he also gave them her mail address to reach her. Rockel's mom interrupts, revealing that Gregory is downstairs looking for Rockel. This is quite an emotional time for her despite the great news she just received. She refuses to see him and promises to call him some other time. She takes a last look at Aries' old bedroom before closing the window. One can only hope that this is not the end of their romantic affair. After the end credits, we see a scene where Rockel and Aries are dancing intimately. There may yet be some hope for their relationship.